All right, we have Rahul Alim from Custom Creatives and Get Shit Done Group back again because we just did a podcast right before this, and you were like hinting that you were going to drop some like godly workshop. So this is what we're doing today. I'll finally know what it is.
Well, we'll make it godlike since you set the bar so high. We'll show you guys how to get a bunch of customers and actually turn what you may think in your mind are your competitors into your best lead generators for you. So we'll kind of go over what we call the strategic partnerships. In today's world, you may hear people throw out their JVs, which are joint ventures. But at the end of the day, it's finding a problem that somebody could solve, and you're that somebody that you can partner with, like a competitor. And I'll give you a variety of examples to get your minds going. So whoever's watching this and wherever you see this, just comment if there's a comment box, but also take notes and think in your mind so this can be executed as you go. So this isn't just information. I want you guys to actually try to use it and give it your best ability to make it work, because it's worked for me. And you can see I'm just a dude that wears a t-shirt, backwards hat, and wearing shorts in the bottom. And I've closed publicly traded companies with this exact strategy, which is being very consistent doing it. So whenever I got stuck, I didn't give up and say this shit doesn't work. I just found a solution. And sometimes to find a solution, you have to get your whiteboard out, you have to strategize, you have to think as if you are your own customer that you're pitching. So get in the mind of the prospect, what they're feeling, so you can actually just improve. So you don't necessarily always need a sounding board. It always helps when you have like mentors that can help you, like Daniel and Dash Clicks and whatnot. That's always helpful to have that sounding board, but we'll try to help you navigate through it on your own here.
So this is something that you could actually follow on along and execute.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want to teach and show you how to do it. So I don't like when people do these, like, I call them helium tanks. Like basically it's just this big hot air, and then when you leave, it's just burst and you're like, oh, that was so cool, amazing, blah, blah, blah. But then you're not any better afterwards. So I really would appreciate if you guys execute something, and that's totally up to you guys. I think you guys will make a lot more money. You'll see that there's a great opportunity in the marketplace. And one thing I want people to think about is every business out there outsources something. And we just have to identify what that something is. Like, when I buy bananas at the grocery store, it's already met 5 or 6 middlemen by the time I bought it. Those are the strategic partnerships. When you look at like bigger companies in your space, digital marketers, the 2 Comma Club award winners, all those people, they don't do all the work in-house. They have contractors, they have partnerships. When they sell funnels, they may do 100 funnels in a month. That means there's 100 opportunities for somebody to do all those funnels. And those are the opportunities we're going to try to find.
Dude, I'm stoked. That sounds cool. It is. I do find it like that. Like you jump into the back end of like a company that just seems so pristine. You look back and it's like, it's an Animal House. Like it's all out war. Like they're pumping out. The effort is what's making it. Yeah, it's insane. I'm stoked.
Yeah, totally. And even big companies, like even Reach Local, for example, when I was on their partner advisory board, I would fly to Dallas and we'd be talking about how to push their product. What do people want to buy? And we got to meet like even the likes of Google and the Bing people and all these cool people that were pretty high up the chains at those companies. But one thing I did know is they outsourced a lot of it. And when I learned that they outsource a lot of it, I'm like, holy shit, there is so much bigger opportunity than working with that one-to-one client, that cold email script that everybody uses the same shit over and over and over again just to get one response out of 100 or 1,000 emails, and they're still not going to buy. These are established businesses that know that they have deficits, they have problems, they're willing to outsource, they're already outsourcing. And if we can be an alternative solution and give them a better product, it doesn't have to be a better price, it just has to be a better product, then they can hire you. And I'll go over live examples of my experience with like realtor.com and Geico and Reach Local, and how I was able to position myself for, like I said, backwards hat t-shirt with a small skeleton crew team. And we're doing millions of dollars a year in sales. And the majority of it was coming from strategic partnerships. And ultimately it turned into like a Starbucks. Like when you go to Starbucks, they're not out there with signs and trying to sell, and you're not getting cold emails and cold DMs from like Howard Schultz and saying, hey, come drink a macchiato or anything. You're just going in and order taking. And that's what we were able to do, is close the decision makers on this solution. So when they sold that product, it was an automatic order for us. So there's a process we'll talk about behind it, so you can make it easier for people to buy.
Wow. Yeah, for the price of Starbucks, you think that you'd also get a presentation with a pitch deck or something.
Dude, I just paid $6.05 for a fucking venti here.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow. Was it like extra shot or something?
No, just regular coffee. I'm in a hotel casino area in Las Vegas, so it's a little bit marked up.
Well, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Well, I'm stoked to see what you're going to share, especially
Cool.
the practical sense. So I'm going to be taking notes, and like, if I have any questions, I might just throw them out your way.
Yeah, do it. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through, I'm going to vocalize it, and then we're going to do it along the way. The first thing that I think is extremely important is your focus and your mindset. Now, this isn't going to be a Tony Robbins speech by any means. This is just to be like abundantly clear. I'm a huge like fan of Kobe Bryant and his Mamba mentality. When he was on the court, he wanted to destroy the competition. So when I'm at work, my mindset and my focus is focused on doing the activity during that time slot that I've made available. So we just have to be relentless and put our phones away, put the airplane mode on, and minimal tabs. That's really kind of the where your focus goes, your energy will also flow. So I want to make sure that number one, you're certain in yourself that you feel good that you can accomplish something. Number two is you're certain that you have a good product that if the world knew about it, you could fulfill. And number three, that it's going to be worth it. Now, if you solve this problem, will it be worth it? Or does it make sense to give up and start from ground zero? To me, the longer you do something, you earn your stripes. The journey is going to be greater on the other side. It's like that person that's digging for gold. You see some dude give up laying there with his shovel or his pick, and then he's like that far away from all the gold. And then there's this other guy that's far away and he's just relentlessly just plugging away. Hopefully you can be that relentless one. Okay. So the mindset is the first, because anything you do, no matter what, whether you use this or something else, you have to stay the course to give it an opportunity to work. Now, I'm going to dive into the next part. Okay. And just stop me if I'm going too fast. Because like, to me, this is like second nature. It's like, boom, boom, boom. I've done it so many times and I've taught it so many times.
Yeah.
The first thing, now the audience is going to be digital marketers or coaches, consultants, either one of you guys. The first thing we want to know is what is our niche? Who do we want to go after? So I know digital marketers and coaches, it could be a very specialized skill set, like whether it's Facebook ads, email copywriting, funnel building, backlinking, blogging, content, whatever. Pick that one niche. Now, with my agency, for example, Custom Creatives, we do a lot of things. Like we do graphic design, we do some web design, we do some funnel builds, we do some video editing for some clients. So I sector it down to one product of the whole gamut of products. Otherwise, it'll be extremely confusing when I'm presenting. So I go in as the graphic designer because I know everybody that's advertising, everybody that's spending money already without me. One thing that they're always going to need is graphics. Like they got Facebook ads, they need the design made, whether it's static and they may need 10, 20, or 30 of those, or they need videos and we can take some of their content and make it look a little nicer. And I called that was the problem I personally found that I knew I can solve. I knew that a digital marketing agency, they know how to push the buttons behind in Facebook land and do their targeting and run the ads. And they don't want to spend $2,000-3,000 with me when they charge $2,000-3,000. So I already knew there was going to be friction if I even had that conversation. So I'd be wasting their time and mine. So I knew the one thing was going to be graphics. Now, for some of you guys, I know a big pain right now here today in the digital marketing space is that people suck at writing copy. There's another option. There's also other people that do SEO in the digital space that just wish they can actually upsell their clients to Facebook ads and not even have to hire another project manager. So there's a lot of options that we have here, but we want to pick the niche. Now, I'm going to tell my story and then you relate it back to yours. So I used to work at realtor.com when I first started out. Then I quit, started the agency. I noticed one of their products that they sold for the highest price required designs and funnels. We didn't have a funnel designer or a graphic designer to fulfill this. So when I left, that was the niche I solved. I cold called all the real estate agents. I cold called other industries as well, but my focus was real estate. So I not only had a niche of the marketing gamut of services, but I had a niche in the real estate agents, but then I niched the niche again. And I said, okay, who are the people that actually spend money so I can have a mature conversation with them versus like trying to convince somebody, because there's nothing worse than trying to get somebody to see your perspective when they already have their own and they don't want to listen. So you're trying to convince people versus persuading people, if that
And
makes
so when you
sense.
say you niche, the niche is you chose the industry and who you want to go after, and then you just chose one service that fit into what they wanted.
Yes, exactly. So in some respect, I had to put my tail between my legs, knowing that I can do advertising, knowing that I can do display ads, knowing that I could do SEO. But I wanted to position myself to for two things. Number one, solve their problem, because I knew I did some market research to make sure that this is something that can sell. That was one thing. But number two is I don't want to be a threat to my partner. I don't want them to feel on the surface that, hey, this guy's going to compete against me. I don't bite the hand that feeds the mouth. And that's why I specifically, while I can do all these services, I'm finding their pain and then solving their problem. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense, and I believe in that. That works. That's also the hard thing, because it takes a lot of research and self-control to not want to just sell them everything you offer, or give them all the options. So you find the industry, you offer one service, but then you make sure that service fits into, like, you're really solving a solution for that niche.
Exactly. And there's going to be, and I'll walk you through through this presentation, how we're going to upsell them to your other services, just because we want to get our foot in the door first. That's the most important thing. Let's get our foot in the door. And then we're going to be able to build the relationship, and then we can upsell and cross sell. But the first thing is pick the niche. Like, is it going to be like let's say dental marketing agencies that you want to partner with? Is it going to be software businesses that specialize in lawyers that you want to partner with? So find the niche of what you want to do, and then find out what problems you think they have. Or another problem could be a problem they don't know exists. Like, let's go to the software example. They make these cool automations. They make all these different ways to manage your pipeline, these text messages that go out. But what's the problem that they have? Adaptation. Maybe you could be the person that can help them adapt and use the software and be their software manager. Like, Go High Level is a huge software out there, and there's people who've made businesses just specializing in teaching people how to actually use it. So there's a lot of different things. And if you want to get even more creative, the content that goes out in those automation, they're dog shit. They're all generic. Sometimes they even go out as saying, hey, first name, rather than, hey, Daniel, right? So we can write content for automation sequences based on, you're trying to revive a dead list. You're trying to do a masterclass promotion. You're trying to do an upsell or some sort of event that you want people to attend. Content writers can have that opportunity. Graphic designers can do the graphics for Facebook marketers, for Google display marketers, PPC marketers. So we want to know, what do we do really well? What do other people do really poorly? And then who is our ideal buyer? Those are the most important things before we get started.
So you
Now,
might even find an opportunity to get into that niche, scale quickly from the starting point that might not be a service you thought you would offer at first. Like, you might offer generic, like, typical marketing services, but you might say, you know what, actually, there's a graphic design problem in copywriting. So I'm actually going and do a copywriting graphic design thing to get them in. And then we have the conversation of, whatever the upsell is later on.
yes, exactly. Because if you can solve, like, let's go to the graphic design example. If you can do amazing artwork and get a higher click-through rate based on their existing budget, and you can sell it to them for $200 per unit, per graphic, maybe $800 per video. Now, if the net result is they just found a great supplier, they're getting more revenue from the existing marketing that they've already put into play, because they now have the most important piece of all of advertising. It's that, what are you going to use to attract your client? Because if somebody's spending 20, 30 grand on Facebook, or 1 grand or 2 grand, it doesn't matter the dollar amount. The real missing ingredient is that call to action, that design, that influence that we're going to be giving to the audience so they can actually click the damn ad, right? So now we have a big problem that we can solve, because people are burning money and all they're doing is putting more shitty ads out there, and they're calling that testing. But if they solve the core problem, that it could be a copyright issue, it could be a design issue, depending on what you solve. And you come out the box and saying, hey, would you like to know how you can actually get more click-through, how you can get more clients from your existing marketing without even spending any more money?
Got it. So that would be like a good way to put the brakes on and say, what is it actually needs to get done before running the campaign or selling it? Because most businesses aren't even at the point where they're ready to run a campaign because they don't even know all this fundamental things that you brought up. And that could be an area to target.
Yeah, like for example, like this strategy, I haven't gone directly to like a dental office and try to pitch them from the ground up. What I rather do is I go to who does dental marketing, to find out, like I'll Google dental marketing services. I'll find a list of people. I'll open them in a new tab so I don't have to click it, hit the back button. It's just a time saving thing. So I'll just open 10 at a time. I'll click on some of the paid results. I'll look at their website, look at some of their awards that they've won. And if I feel like, hey, these guys are legit, they probably have like 30 to 100 or more clients, then they're my target audience. Then I'm going to save their information on a sheet. And then because I have to have a follow-up process behind it, I'll send them a cold DM. I'll go to their Facebook profile, like some stuff. I might comment on some stuff. So my name becomes prevalent when they see their little alerts. I might find them on LinkedIn, add them as a friend. So it's like all these things are happening at once. They got an email, they've got alerts from me. So they see my name, they got a LinkedIn message or a LinkedIn friend request. So it's like Rahul. So now it's the email. It's almost like that when you go to a gym, and you see the same people because you go at the same time, but you see them at Starbucks outside of the gym. You're like, I know you from somewhere. And that's what I want that impact to be, that I know you from somewhere, and it happens in a short period of time. So it's going to be, you can either do this very carefully through very good strategic research, so you don't have to do high volume, or you could do it high volume where you're looking for the response ratio. But I do it differently. In today's world, a lot of people rely on cold email. They rely on cold DM. I'm going to do it all. I'm going to cold email you. I'll like all your shit. I might drop you a message on the DM. But one thing I'm certainly going to do is call you. I'm going to 100% without a shadow of a doubt, not make this phone feel like it's £1,000,000. I'm going to call you because I want your business, and you don't know you want me as your vendor yet.
And you want to do all this preparation before, maybe not preparation, but execution, because when you call them and you say, oh, it's Rahul, they're like, oh, the guy that you're like, yeah, exactly. And then it's like icebreaker completed. Let's move on.
Yeah. We want to get past that, saying, hey, I shot you over an email, but you don't know me yet. But I wanted to just ask you a few questions about how you guys are doing Facebook ads. And then I'll just start my pitch. I'll just say, I know you probably get a lot of calls. In fact, like I'm calling to see if I can offer you something, but I think it'll be value. And best of all, I'm not charging anything on this call. So I just want to diffuse all the situations because I'm actually going to do this shit for free. So I'm going to give them a taste. I'm going to give them a sample platter. And then I'm going to qualify them after they've agreed that saying, hey, dude, if you do it for free and this works, we'll use you. I'm going to qualify them after they say that. So that doesn't mean they're going to get it for free, because I'm going to hold the authority and the power once I get them to that point. Okay. And I'll go over that in just a sec.
Okay. That's cool. So you're really not giving you kind of are giving a free service. What am I trying to say? It's almost like it feels like a free service, but sort of not. It's a way to
it's free.
It's a way
if you're
to just
my ideal. Yeah. If you're my ideal customer, it's free.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just like if somebody's like going to look at $2 million homes, but they can only afford $100,000 home, it doesn't make any sense. That realtor is not going to really do much work with you. It just doesn't make sense. You're in the wrong room. So I just got to make sure that, hey, I might be advertising to people, and if people are responding to me and you're not the right fit, I have the power to say no. I'm not obligated to do anything. I have choices, right? And you do too. You can say no to me. If you don't like me, totally fine. You don't like my offer, you have that void already filled, and you don't want to be open-minded to an alternative solution, totally fine. Everybody has choices, right? But I'll go into like how I'm going to qualify them in a sec. So we've got our niche down. We've got our avatar. Now, it depends on where you're going to learn your avatar, and you'll learn how to pivot it. This isn't something set in stone. Like for me, when I was doing all these outreaches, I was looking for the biggest, baddest wolf on the fucking block. I wanted publicly traded companies. I want the biggest ones out there because I knew that they had high volume, they had big bottlenecks, they probably had high cancellation rates from their clients. And I knew that I can find like a simple problem like a banner ad. I already knew that I can solve that issue by making the client happy, because now they knew they had a really high quality graphic representing themselves really well. They'll have a higher closing rate on how they can get more leads, and they can monetize even more. So I was like almost like the hero, but I had none of the pressure. It was like they're the bad guy selling the expensive advertising. I'm the good guy doing the thing that's going to make the expensive thing work.
Right. In almost a way of like in a charitable way, sort of.
Yeah, totally. It's
Like
like me doing you
they
a favor.
can't like discredit you because it's like you're supporting them in a charitable way, seemingly to them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And like I can even say lines like saying, "Hey, like do you ever have like customer churn? Like does it happen in the first 90 or 180 days in your business? Do you think you can have clients longer? Would that be easier for you? Then what do you think the problem is? Do you think it could be because they're not getting the quality leads that they're looking for? Well, if I showed you a way that I do the designs differently, would you be interested in that? And I can offer you one for free."
Wow.
Yeah, and
How do you
then
say
I'll
no to
go and
that?
qualify it. Yeah, it's pretty easy, and it's easy with hard work, right? Because it only becomes easy after it works. That's why I'm able to say it's easy. Now, when I was going through the process, for those of you guys that are going to execute in this, like I think it just takes high volume, because like in my first 30 days of running my own agency, we closed a little over $30,000 of cash collected, and it was all off cold calls. It was all off follow-ups, and we just kept a list. We didn't even have a CRM back then. All we had was just an Excel sheet. It wasn't even a Google sheet. It was a fucking Excel sheet on one person's computer, and then we just share it and update it at the end of the day, and we just prospect. And like, let's say it was dental marketing, we just click on every dental marketing company, add their domain, we'd click on the about us page, scroll down really quick to find the owner, then we'd see if there was like a director of marketing, we'd write that person's name down, we'd grab the phone number. If they had an extension, we'd grab the extension, and then we would use whoever answered the phone. If we knew they were a receptionist, we would make them think we knew that person to give us more information, so then we can call back later with a better strategy, knowing the lay of the land.
So there are some people, this is a prevalent problem that I have seen from people in our community that has brought it before. And some people struggle with, it might be a volume thing because maybe they don't have a dialer or they don't have some sort of thing that can like do a lot of volume. So they're either doing like calculated prospecting. But so separate from that is they might have a lot of opportunity, but it never goes beyond anything to like a sales, but they get a lot of opportunity. But maybe their sales pitch is right. Do you think that's more of an offer?
Yeah. Yeah, you're the good point. I mean, they could have a good presentation. They can even have a good offer. It may not be a good offer in this context of reaching out, because when we're cold reaching out, think about it for a second. Let's get in the feelings of the recipient of your phone call. They don't know you. They don't like you. They don't want what you're selling because they never asked for it. They have Google. Everybody has Google, right? When you want something, you go to Google. When you want to fuck around, you go on Facebook, right? It's disruption versus a destination. So that everybody has that access. So that's why I go in with such a like open ear offer, because I can offer something for free. I know my cost of doing business. I know that if I offer it for free, I'm not going to calculate my time for 1 second. I'm just going to look at my hard cost that I know I have to give cash outflow. If I can have my designer, on average, it's anywhere between $15 and $20 to get the design done, and then I'm selling it for $200 to $500, that's high margin. Now, if I have the right partner that can give me 30 to 100 units in a month, I have an entire business. I can move out of mom and dad's house, right? It's one client is going to be your whole ecosystem if they're that high. Now you parlay it so that if they leave you, you're not out of business or you don't have to start over.
Right. So it's not so much sales structure, what you're saying needs to be perfect it's more of like, I know I'm going in and giving you something that I just know you're going to say yes to because you've done your research to find that niche and then niche the service to offer them.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm just segmenting what I already do to one thing, to one audience, so I can go out and test it. And if it fails after whatever, like you give yourself for failure, then we just start pivoting. We may pick a different industry and we keep the product the exact same. Or you can pick a different product to the same industry once you've done your market research, because the customers, if you can just have like a gentleman's conversation or a woman to woman conversation, whatever it is, like we're not selling anything, right? Because they haven't bought anything. We're just seeing if we can solve any problem. And we just want to have that tone of voice, that tonality of natural curiosity. It was like, look, is there anything that you think in the agency that could possibly help you? I'm not saying I can solve it, but maybe somebody I know I can recommend to you. But I'm just curious because, like, even though you didn't take my offer here, like, what would be a good offer for you that you're looking to solve and maybe outsource? So I can just ask them those questions on the call, because when I
Casually,
do it,
just
yeah, because I'm not getting hung up on. I'm just trying to have a real conversation. But if I sound like I'm being a greedy pig and it's all about me, then of course they're going to have resistance because they can tell I'm disingenuous on the phone.
okay. That is really valuable because I know a lot of people struggle with that. Like they think maybe what was the word? There may not have been enough research into what they're putting in, and so there's no pivoting. It's just all effort into one basket, one industry. It's not working very well. So therefore, I just need to consider maybe not pursuing this.
Yeah,
There's
I mean,
no there's no
cutting out.
pivoting into new industry, maybe better offer, testing, seeing what works. Because it shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah, I mean, what we do in our own minds is that we're making judgments in our own mind what people want versus just simply asking them.
Okay.
So that's the easiest market research that a lot of people don't do is just asking. If you want to like work with dentists, next time you go to your own dentist, just have a casual conversation before you get in the chair and just say, hey man, like I do digital marketing. I'm just curious, what are dentists looking for right now? And
Mm,
just you'll get some market research out of the way saying like cool, like budgeting wise, like since you mentioned you would do root canal specialist or you're a surgeon on mouth procedures, like what would be a value of like the lowest cost version of what you do? Okay, what's the highest cost? Now do those people become customers like beyond just the procedure? Do they ever bring their friends or family in? So you can identify in their mind, you're calculating in their mind, as well, like this could be $100,000 based on this type of customer for a lifetime, and a lifetime could be over a period of 7 to 10 years for a dentist. So if they can create a systematic way to get those types of clients in, every time they get a client, they're calculating $100,000 lifetime value. Now, if a dentist is going to exit their business because they're going to at some point, they're going to hire another dentist that's going to be the buyer of that practice. Now they've also created a higher value of their organization because they have a systematic way to get leads. It's not just the book of business and trying to pillage that book of business. It's like we can get new customers at will. And we only need 10, 12 of new ones a month to help like offset the existing customers we have.
got it.
So like it's just the ask method. You just literally ask your customer, and just pay attention and be self-aware. Now, one way that I do pitches is like I look at it from like I have nephews, so I have the privilege to have an 8 and 10-year-old to pitch to. And then I also have parents that are older, so I can pitch them my offer because I wholeheartedly believe if I can have like a kid that just wants to skateboard, understand the words that are coming in my mouth, and then repeat it back to me, then repeat it to his brother,
Mm,
and then same thing with my dad. If he understands what I'm doing and can repeat it to somebody else, I know I have absolute clarity in what I'm saying.
got it. Okay, that's clear. I think
Yeah.
I think people listening that will bring clarity to them because I know that is the thing that people are struggling with.
Yeah, because a confused person can't buy anything.
Yeah.
And don't assume anything like because I've had some of the smartest people out there. I mean, people who are CFOs of like publicly traded companies. I had a guy who was the number one owner of forums in the world. Like he had like 800,000 forums. He just kept buying the traffic and would sell like random shit. He didn't even know what he owned because he owned so many. And when I explained what I did over the phone to him, not a single clue. Now, when he met me or I did a Zoom presentation, I did both. When I showed him, I said, here's what I do. He's like, holy shit. Didn't understand the fucking thing you were saying over the phone, but I now can visualize and see it. So in my mind, I was like, how does this smart person not know basic shit? And he's thinking, how does this guy who does something can't explain something clearly, right? So we're both on opposite ends of the spectrum for a moment. And so that kind of like clicked in my mind. I'm like, all right, never assume and talk to people like it's almost like I'd rather overdress to a wedding than underdress. So I'd rather over explain and make it way more simple than try to hear myself sound smart.
That is really good advice.
Yeah, because I hate it when people start talking in like a doctor in medical terms. I can't use that information because I don't know. I didn't go to medical school for a decade. And when I hear marketers talk about like pixels and retargeting and like buybacks or winbacks and shopping cart abandonment, I'm like, dude, do you realize that that person has no fucking clue what you just said?
It's too techy, and you
Mhm.
just like glaze over, and you're like, I'm not
Yeah,
interested.
yeah, exactly. There's a dog in the room, so the
Oh, I
dog
was
is going
like,
to participate. There's the dog will participate from time to time. By the way.
if you're in Vegas though, it would be cooler if you had a tiger.
There's a tiger in a room.
Oh, nice.
It sounds like a chihuahua though.
Dude, so
Yeah.
funny. No, but that is really, really good advice. So that's amazing because it's sort of overlooked. It's sort of like end result only, not take your time and figure this out. Because when you're ready to start calling and pitching, especially following with what you're saying, you'll be surprised how easily people might listen, or people
Mhm.
might go, "Oh, I see the value," or actually turn more clients over.
Yep, 100%. And we're going to go over where you can even find your clients so you can actually put this to use as well.
Cool.
So we've got our mindset. We have to give it a go. We have to be really hardcore into focus and just get the darn thing done. Because to me, it's just as easy as being really good as it is easy as being really bad. Because you're going to be putting a lot of energy in. I just choose to be good versus bad, and it comes down to just focus and relentlessness. And if things don't go your way, you'll find the way. It's that minor analogy I gave earlier.
Yeah.
So we've got our niche that we want to go after because we want to be precise. And the reason I'm saying a niche is just because like I'm thinking not just now but also in the future. For me, it's easier to talk one language to a customer because if I'm talking to a dentist, a doctor, a lawyer, a totally different scenario every single time, it's hard to land and hard to have analogies that work in that industry and getting any kind of terminology down that is helpful. And then as this thing works, which it will, then I need to scale it and I need to hire somebody else to be able to help me with parts of the process so they can understand what I'm doing. Because if I have a singular product I'm starting with and a singular industry I'm starting with, it's easy for me to train. But if I have 5 different products and any industry and I don't have a niche, I can help the world solve the problems. It's really hard to really get good talent to be able to catch up to you because you're the CEO. Your brain is wired differently. Another person's brain may not be thinking what you're thinking just yet. So we have to be fair to the people we bring on because we can really ruin good talent. And then we can say, oh, that person didn't work out. But we have to look at ourselves because we're that leader. Okay.
Right. Right. Okay.
Okay, cool. Now we're going to give the sucker a price, the fun part. So if somebody does take this offer, what are we going to charge them? Are we going to give them a new customer special? Are we going to do it for free? What's the future hold for us? So we give it a price. Like, for example, banner ads. I didn't actually know what the fuck to price it because the first person that said I want to do it, I had never done it. So I didn't know what it cost. I didn't even know what it cost me because I'm not a graphic designer. I just knew people needed that shit.
Yeah.
So the lady threw I said, what do you think it should cost? That was because I wasn't a sales pitch. It was like, because I don't know. And she's like, $500. I'm like, let's go ahead and start the first one for $500.
No
And
way.
then, yeah, I swear. And then, because I honestly didn't know what to charge. So that's why I'm telling you guys have a pricing structure in your mind. So it's not one of these typical things like, oh, well, let me think about it. You need a banner and like, let me get back to you with a proposal. We want to avoid that. We want to be ready because if somebody's ready to do business with you, we want to be able to give them a price structure. So I learned that very quickly. I started pricing things. It took me probably like a couple weeks because I was like over analyzing stuff when in reality, give it a price where I can make money on it. Like the goal in my mind was first, do not lose money ever. I don't want to work for you and also do the thing and help you and then also be in the negative.
Yeah.
That's a no-no. So the bare minimum, you have to know what's your cost of doing business, like your break even point. And there's 2 ways I would think about it. If I broke even on one project, but my profit was in the multiple after that, I'm okay with lifetime value. And then my other mind was I want to make money now and in the future as well. And then I'd have a tiered price. And then I had a ceiling and a floor. So my floor price was do not go below this. My highest price was do not go above this because then you're overcharging for a market that may not have like a future with you because if they find somebody else way cheaper, you just cause that because they're like, fuck, I like the dude. I want to do business with you, but I don't want to pay $900 every single freaking time when I can get one for 400 and be happy enough. So we want to wipe out their mindset. Almost like I have a Costco membership. When I go shopping, I go to Costco. So I'm paying them to buy shit from them. So my mind is completely closed from going anywhere else in the world when I need groceries. So I'm going to overbuy more shit than I can use. Some of it's going to go bad because I'm not going to eat it or use it, or it's going to be stacked up in a closet with 100 rolls of toilet paper. And I'm going to use it over the course of a period of time, right? So we want them to have that mentality is like, when you think X product, you think me. We're closing the mind where they don't even know Google exists anymore for when your service. Okay.
Okay. Minimum, maximum, always make money. There's options to break even though and make money later. So
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Because a lot of agencies are already losing money right now and don't even know it because they don't have their books done right. And they never took like 10 minutes to just do some basic math. Like, what does it cost me to pay a vendor to do the thing? What does it cost me for a setter to do outreach? What does it cost me for X? So we just write down the cost we can identify. Don't get all like fancy in the beginning to do like my office or this part of my room costs this money. Let me blend it. Don't get fancy. Just get your hard cost of execution and don't even value your time just yet if you're just starting out. You'll value your time later. Everyone thinks their attorney fee prices. Trust me, I do too. There's nothing wrong with having high value, but let's just make sure that we can get the customers in the door first before we get fancy. The first thing is execution and literally go get customers. So we've like recapping, we got mindset down, we got our niche, we got our ideal customer, which is the avatar, we got our product, and then we're just going to give a price to it. And don't worry about the price. A lot of people are always guessing in the beginning, and even veterans that are 10 years in, I've coached a lot of people, they don't even know how to price their own stuff. Sometimes they change all the time, change the offer, etc. So don't worry about having some sort of elasticity to your pricing. You can pivot it at any moment, because when people ask me the question, like, how do I raise my prices? My question is, what do you charge? 1,500. What do you want to charge? 2,500. Well, you've already raised it. Congratulations. You know the word 2,500. It's just a vocabulary change. That's it. It works going up. It works going down. So we just want to kind of take out the complexities of our mind and just say a different word. That's really what it is.
Okay. That sort of makes me rethink everything now.
We just want to, like, complexity is just going to create chaos in our mind. We're going to overthink things. We're going to overanalyze things. And the worst part about complicating things and overanalyzing is the fact that we don't even know if the person on the other end we haven't even pitched with will like it. So it's okay to go in higher than you should. You'll learn that. Just lower it a little bit. And if you go in too low and it's easy to buy, maybe you found the hot price, increase it by 10 or 15% only. Don't make this wild jump, because I see that all the time. Like, oh my God, I got this person on Google. I charged $1,000 a month. They're getting so much traffic. I'm worth $2,000, $5,000 a month. Like, all these big agencies are charging all this money. Don't do that. You found your sweet spot. Because like, the grass isn't always greener on the other side.
Yeah.
Our goal is to get clients, make money, and make them a lot more money and keep them longer. That's the goal. And if you're doing it for a really good, advantageous price, you're going to beat out those expensive guys more times than not.
And this is really kind of a way to put it would also be, a battleship seems so complex and complicated and worlds different than like a sailboat, but they both do the same thing. It's just one you'll probably comprehend more, but for them to float, they still need buoyancy. So one might be more complex, more complicated, and to explain that to someone is going to be like a task. But simplifying it still functions the same way.
Yeah, I like to do things really simple. And even when I'm talking to other people, like if I go to the doctor, or if I go to anything, a gym, a trainer, whatever, I'll just say, talk to me as if I'm a golden retriever. Just say, here, boy, and tell me the thing as simple as possible. And that's really what we want, is like complexity is the enemy of success. And it's because, like, I used to be that guy. I would talk in technical terms. Why would I do that? It's because I wanted to sound smart. But what happened? The customer couldn't buy from me because they had no idea. In their mind, they created this system in their head that they weren't prepared to work with a guy like me. Even though I'm doing all the work, it's just like, oh man, that sounds so fancy and so expensive. And even if I say it's free, they're going to be like, oh, well, that's too much work.
Yeah.
I have to get you pixels. I have to give you a Facebook login. I have to get on Zooms with you. I can't do that. Like we created that enemy in our own prospects because we're trying to kind of satisfy ourselves first versus the customer, because that's the only person we serve. Is they're the most important person in our business, in our lives, in our space when it comes to our business world, because we have to serve them. They're not to serve us. Okay, that's some
Yeah.
sort of variation of a Gandhi quote. Um, so I
Now,
want to go into the next step, which is the two R's. This is the results and the relationships. Like our service has to produce a result. And in order to have a longevity, we want to build a relationship. So I like to get to know my partners. I want to know what they like. I want to know when their birthdays are. I want to know any special occasions. I'm not going to fill in a survey, and I'm not going to be like a restaurant card, but it's like, what's your anniversary? It'll be through casual conversation, and they may bring it up. Hey, you know what? I'm going to be out for a week. Oh, awesome. What are you doing? Taking some time off to yourself? No, it's my anniversary. Oh, when's the date? Oh, it's July 29th. Oh, tomorrow. Okay, cool. Guess what I'm doing? I'm putting that inside of my CRM, July 29th, anniversary. I'm putting it even on my calendar so it shows up a day before. Guess who's going to be getting a text? And if they're a really good partner, guess who's going to be getting a gift? Them. That relationship creates a fucking bond that people don't even like. Guys don't even remember their own anniversaries at times. But when I do, I can either be the hero for you because you were reminded, so your wife isn't mad, and two, you got something that I'm gonna learn you like. I'm not gonna give you a basket of fucking fruit, that's for sure. I'm not gonna give you some candy that you're not gonna eat. I'm gonna learn through our relationship what you like. If you say I have backaches, have you ever tried considering getting the chirp? Have you ever considered getting a roller? Oh no, I didn't get it. Guess what they're getting? That thing. Every time they roll their back out, every single morning, they're thinking of like, Rahul bought this for me.
that it works though. Like they will feel valued,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll
100%. And it cost me $60 and paying attention. And now I have somebody that I can literally in the future, if it makes sense, we can be going to like like there could be a wedding that they invite you to. I mean, I've been invited to like floor seats at the Golden State Warriors before. And that's not a cheap ticket, right? And they're my client paying me a lot of money. I'm not buying them the gifts. They're my client, right?
It's crazy. I've
Yeah.
had that happen to me a few times too. Like
Mhm.
you do it enough, and then all of a sudden, and you service them well. It takes a lot of work though, but like you service and build a relationship, and you do this stuff, you get that kind of reaction, and you feel a little awkward because you're like, you're paying me to. You don't have to like do that, but they're so like they give so much to that relationship. They really value it. It's
Oh,
crazy what that
100%.
turns into.
It becomes a friendship. So you truly get to know each other, and that's important. We want to have results and relationship, and sometimes your results may be just average, but if you have a really good relationship, you don't have these long emails that say terminate this, stop this program, hey, we're moving on, we found somebody in-house, all the typical shit you guys may be accustomed to, because
Yeah.
there are those like, hey, we're cutting the line, we're not even going to call you. That's because you just didn't build a good enough relationship. But when you do have like, let's say, lackluster results, the relationship is prevalent. You want to actually make each other succeed. So it's like, hey man, like we're having a little bit like of a struggle here with our clients. They're complaining about X. I wanted to have this conversation with you. What can we do to improve it? So now we're in solution mode versus fuck you mode, right? And that's really kind of the important part. And it's not hard. You know, I'm not saying you have to be like have a decade of a relationship and be in their yearbook or anything. You can do that pretty quickly. And I find a common ground. I love sports, and I see if they like sports. And the way I find out is like, have you heard of Tom Brady? Cool. Do you like football? Well, no, I don't. Well, what sport do you like? Like hockey. Oh, awesome. Who's your favorite player? Messier? Oh, old school but tasty. I love it. And then now I mentally know hockey is the thing.
Right.
So now I can buy him a puck signed by Mark Messier or whoever if it makes sense for me from furthering the relationship as well.
Right.
But I just pay attention through the conversation, and I just write things down, and I just mark my notes. And salespeople suck at administrative stuff, but this is where salespeople have to get a little bit better. Just mark those notes. And I'm telling you, you'll start to memorize the opportunities. You will start to know your customer off memory when you type it into your CRM. You hit the save button. When you do your follow-up, read your notes beforehand so you have an outlet to start the conversation of where you left off or a common ground as a follow-up process. But then it'll be just engraved more and more in your brain. And when I'm talking about these relationships, like one of ours, just so you know what could happen, and the only reason I'm probably even sitting here on this podcast is one of our relationships was over $200,000 in a month, just one from this process.
Wow.
So the process has not changed, just the time has. So that's it. And then we've had other companies that are literally our direct competitors. You go to my website, you go to theirs, exact same menu services, very similar stuff we do. And guess who does all the work on the back end? Guess who charges a high price? Me. And I'm doing all the work for them. So doesn't matter what they do outsource. That's the one thing I firmly believe is everybody outsources. Okay. So all right, so we got the R&R. The next step is let's get our prospecting list down, because the last thing in the world, and this is from my mistakes, is going into a day totally unprepared. You wake up and you're like, all right, I don't have anything to do. So you get distracted and do something else. You get on social media, then an hour went by, you're like, fuck, it's lunchtime. And nothing productive could have happened. And I'm not saying that's you, it's happened to me. So it can happen to other people too.
Yeah.
But I want to do my prospecting. Yeah. And like, and I create, like, honestly, I create this alter ego in the daytime. And I love Kobe Bryant. We're the same age. I'm sad he passed, like everybody else would be.
Sure.
But he had that Mamba mentality, and he would get on the court. He was a different person off the court. He did his thing separate by himself. So if you met him in person, he's a chill, relaxed dude. You meet him on the court, he wants to just win the game, and he'll do it at all costs. So when I'm in the work environment, if I'm gonna do the thing, I might as well just do it really well. I might as well do it at my best of my ability. And I'm only doing it for me. I'm not doing it for my mom. I'm not doing it for my dad. I'm not doing it for anyone but me to begin with. And it's the airplane analogy. If you put your mask on, you're not putting it on your child. You're gonna let yourself take care of yourself first. Therefore, you can take care of others. So be really selfish with your time and be really focused, because you're the one that's auditing yourself. And that's really important, because, and now it leads into the next step, is build our list. Some people call it the Dream 100. We're gonna build our Dream 100. We're gonna find out if it's our Dream 100. We'll learn how to audit and change our Dream 100 as we go, because the goal is, how many people can we put onto a list so then we can start our outreach process. Now, there's going to be an email, there's going to be a call, there's going to be a connection request on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or whatever platforms you choose you want to be connected with. And then we're going to build that list as big as we can, and we're going to time block it. And every day we're going to get better at it. So think about, like, if you're trying to get in shape at first, let's say you're running and you have to run, your goal is to run 2 miles and you're really out of shape. So you have to walk it. So your pace may be 3.5-minute miles. You may go on an incline of 1. It may take you 20 minutes per mile. So 3 miles is going to be 1 hour. A week later, you can get that down to 48 minutes. Couple weeks later, you start the jogging process. Now you're down to 12-minute miles, 36 minutes, and so on and so forth. We're just getting more efficient with our time. So it's like a video game. We're like, all right, how quickly can I get the first batch down? I blocked out 2 hours. So now I got whatever, 50 people in 2 hours. 2 weeks later, you can do 50 people in 1 hour. And then imagine if you kept it at 2 hours. Now you got 100. So now you have your list that you're going to be prospecting. And if you want, you can find people on the internet, like Fiverr, saying, hey, I want you to find me a list of 100 people. Here's the exact criteria. Make them a Loom video, delegate it for 15, 20 bucks, get the list. And then if they fuck up the list and there's like half good, half bad, don't pay half the money, pay them the full amount. But teach them how to be a little bit better, because now you just leverage time. Now you can do more things in the day. So start at something like Upwork or Fiverr. And if you, once you'll start to create your own process along the way and your rhythm of what you want and what you don't want, and just keep updating that SOP until it's where you want it. And then that same person can be a repeat purchase, and who knows, maybe they could be a full timer for you in the future. So the Dream 100, but the data that I typically will collect is who do I want to talk to, their first name, last name. I like to get their email. I like to get the phone number. A lot of these agency owners, like they may look good on the internet, because any website can come up and look really good, and they could be not that big. So a lot of people do have their cell phones on there. And even it might say office cell phone. It may say office and then extension. I just want to, what's my quickest path to be able to reach them? So I got their full name, their email, their telephone numbers. If I have time, I'll put a link to the website. But when I put a link to the website, I don't like having the homepage because then I have to do like 2 or 3 clicks. So I'll typically put it to the About Us page.
Yeah.
Or something I want to talk about. It could be a blog that they wrote or something. So I have something in a context to talk about when I make that call.
I see.
And then if there's any ancillary information, like if there's a director of marketing on there, I'll put that person because I might start with that person. So I just put enough data that gets me that list. So I'll try to get in a rhythm. I'll have like a bunch of tabs open. Like the worst thing is like click on a link and then you start clicking on their website. Then you have to hit back 16 times to get back to the Google search or re-Google search. It just creates your brain to create pauses and then you may get distracted. So I just right click, open a new window, and I try to do like 10 or 15 at a time. And then as I gather the information, I close that website, gather the information, close that website, so on and so forth. Okay.
Cool.
So we want to make it really, really easy. We want to basically like make our brain continue versus like get off topic and get tired and stop. That's why like I try to compare it to like a video game. So I'm like, boom, boom, boom. So it's like, because I have to talk to myself sometime like a crazy person, where it's just like, hey, like when I start to get tired, I'm like, hey, you have 2 choices, Rahul. And this is a voice in my head, not actually out loud. You can either don't do what you said you're going to do and disappoint everything you ever wanted, or you can just spend the next 30 minutes doing what you promised yourself you'd do. What do you want to do? Break your own contract in your future and create a bad habit the rest of your life? Or do you want to just stick to what you said you're going to do and just honor it? So I have to have those mental conversations all the fucking
Keep you
time.
in check from like, but also learning the habit of having continual task without break.
Yes. And it's boring. I mean, I've done a video about you have to get good. Like at first, everything's exciting. Then things start to suck. You have to embrace things suck. That's it. Embrace it. We all do things. Guess what? There's a lot of things I don't like doing, but I'm going to do them anyways.
Exactly.
Because it's going to lead to my fucking goal. So I would say half the stuff I do in a day, I don't enjoy one bit. The other half I really enjoy. Now, I'm not going to tell you don't do that stuff and go delegate it. I say learn, do, teach. Learn it, do it, teach it, and then get dirty sometimes, because then you want to be able to scale. If somebody leaves you and they had all the stuff in their brain, you want to be able to repeat that process with somebody else. So I like to get in the weeds from time to time. Like even today, we have like a bunch of clients. So I just started calling with our ISA team. Start calling the leads. Said, hey, it's just Rahul giving you a buzz. How you doing, brother?
Awesome.
Looks like you filled in a form on Facebook. Because I just need to be able to, when things go bad, I need to be the leader that can solve problems. And if I am not on the ground floor at times, like almost like an undercover boss, but I'm not undercover, I just want to be able to make sure that I can make people better. So that's important. Then the sales process. Part of the Dream 100 is going to be the sales process. Like to keep things really, really simple, you don't have to get fancy pipelines and crazy automations, because we're looking for deals. The context of this is we're not going after the end customer. We're going after the person who has a bunch of your end customers. So if that person, that agency owner or that blogger that has a ton of traffic, or that software business that has a bunch of dentists and you do marketing for dentists, has a whole bunch of customers, and they start to give you a few to test you at first, guess what? You could have opportunity to go after their whole database. So you don't have to create these fancy automations like you would with like going after 1-by-1 customers. You can just keep a simple list and don't move them over to the next stage in your pipeline until you make contact with them. You don't have to have like first attempt, dead, whatever. I just keep it in one stage and just go down that stage. If somebody gets warmer, like if you're using Excel, just get a color like red, yellow, and green. Red means they don't like you and don't want to do business with you, but you're not 100% certain. So you may want to try out in 30 days later, see if they don't remember you or if it's a better time. And then yellow means they're interested, but not possibly ready right this second. You can attach like a time frame for yellows. And then greens are like, hey, these guys are fucking hot. We're moving this over the line. So you can keep it as simple as possible. And when I brought on realtor.com as a client, this is how crazy my fucking CRM was. It was 20 whiteboards on my walls. So I had this whiteboard, this wall of like all these whiteboards concocted together
Yeah.
was all the prospects. The next ones were the ones that we closed. The next ones were the ones in fulfillment. So we had it so stupid simple. And this is how dangerous it was too. If I rubbed my elbow against that whiteboard, we lost that lead. so, so, but into the, but I'm also like pretty redundant in what I do. I have Excel sheets. I have my Go High
Yeah.
Level CRM. I have my whiteboards. Like I always have my hottest people on my whiteboards without fail. And the first thing I look at is that whiteboard.
There is something with physically writing things out where it something about it, like it just solidifies in your mind about remembering it. It also, it's weird. I don't know what it is, but I think it also adds a lot of urgency, and it sort of makes it like a real thing that you need, not just a thought or a task, but you're like, this is something that I physically have to do. There's
Yeah.
something weird about it. It's like puts it in reality.
No, it doesn't. It brings brand recall and memory recall a lot because like when I get on calls, like I have clients that like they're no longer clients from like 6 years ago, but when I'll still text them back and forth like once every blue moon, but I'll remember everything. It's because all my notes when I'm on calls are written down on paper and then I transcribe it into the CRM. The only reason I'm doing those steps is to be able to memorize it, is to be able to have the good memory, is to differentiate from everyone out there because there's nothing worse in the world where I've had a long conversation with somebody and the seller who wants to sell me something like has like, hey, remind me, like where did we leave off? It's like, okay, you want me to remind you? I'm like, all right, will I be taken care of? That's what goes through my head. If you don't have the notes organized, or I get if I caught you off guard, totally fine. I
Yeah.
totally am fine with that. But if you called me to do something and I got to remind you of what we do and what you're selling me, that's a little bit hard for me to swallow because I don't feel like you'll take care of me when I become your client. And that's what I feel differentiates me from a lot of people is that I won't forget. And if I do, who gives a shit? I just have to type in your name into my CRM and then boom, oh yeah, I do remember that call. He had a little girl that has a pink bicycle that they just bought. So all this other memories will come back. So that's why it's important to put bullet point notes.
Right. I 100%. And I see this a lot too, where people kind of go for the sale too quickly and they overlook all the stuff that is actually meaningful to
Mm-hmm.
myself to make the decision, which is like, I have a feeling that you're in it for me. I get you want to make the sale, but that's like secondary. You're making it more like, I want to make sure you know what you're getting into. I'm going to help you with this. Quick side story just to share, because I think this will add to the point like very well. I had these guys knock on my door yesterday and they were trying to sell meat because they deliver it to your house. And the moment I walked out, and I hate when they do this, they stand behind further away from the door. So you like go walk out of your door. And I know this, but I did it anyways. And so they were trying to sell me meat. And the first thing he said was this. He goes, "Hey, dude, you eat meat, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I love it." He goes, "Great. We'll bring up a box for you." And I'm like, "Okay, is he a free box of meat, or is he like going to give me a thing?" Because I saw the delivery truck that deliver meat. I'm like, "Hey," and I was like, "Wait, I'm not ready to buy anything." At first, I was kind of like, I'm kind of open, but I'm like, "Dude, I'm not going to buy anything. Like, if you want to show me, you can." But and the whole thing was just like, what if we give you a deal? Well, I'll just call you when I want a deal. Nope, it's got to be today. And they didn't explain anything about like what the product looks like, if I'm a good fit for them. It was none of it. It was just put the box in his hands and then say, "You bought it. Now you owe us." And it was crazy because I feel like it's easy to jump to that conclusion and overlook all the important things, like the stuff that you just talked about. But
Yeah,
actually turn it
and
into
mhm.
some sort of relationship that actually helps your business grow.
Yeah, I mean, think of it from this perspective as well. Think of like instead of you selling the person for their money in your bank account, and maybe you'll do a good job, maybe you won't. Let them sell themselves on buying your product. So like make them the seller versus you, even though you are the seller. It's a psychological difference
Mm.
because like because we're I want to make people want to buy my stuff because it benefits their life. So I get a lot of the time I get what's the next steps? How do we get started? Well, let's go forward. Now that could be an objectionless presentation. It's because I found a pain and I have a good offer in what this strategy can employ for and change lives. Like I said, I would not be sitting here today if I didn't employ the strategy. I made millions of dollars doing this. It was hard work, but I knew it was worth it. And that's what I looked at, because I can be the volume dealer, or I could be the dude that has to go after every single person in the niche. I chose to say, well, hey, you spent billions of dollars on realtor.com and all this tech and all this cool shit, and you have all the customers I want. What if I can just find a way where we can coexist? What if I'm not a threat? What if I'm just like this little pea in the world to you, but I have so much value? What if you gave me a shot? Then what? So that's kind of like where I went for the biggest, baddest wolves on the planet. And then I would bring my way down. I wouldn't focus just on them because there's only so many of them. But it took relentless calling, it took relentless follow-up, it did a bunch of work. And then I kind of went through a strategy of focusing on like, what if I can appease the salespeople, help them refer me, do the work for them, deliver it to them, and then work my way up to regional manager, and then work my way up to CEO level. Hard to do in a publicly traded company where the CEO lives in a whole different state or city, and there's probably like, I don't know, 10,000 employees, and the CEO's
really
gatekeeper is so good that their executive assistants for a CEO, they don't let people through the phone very easily. But this process makes them pick up the fucking phone call.
Would you say even if it's simplified or complicated, the reason why someone's doing better than you is because they're just outworking you?
They're smarter in the process, I think, because there's so many people that are probably just as good as the next person but doesn't have the results. So I think that what they're doing is either they're something's broken in the system, like it's the offer, it's the effort, it's the attitude, it's the energy. It could be the wrong market niche or market fit. There's just a variety of different things, because when you look at guys and watch, like I just watched that series with Michael Jordan just recently, The Last Dance, and he even says like, I'm not the most talented person, I'll outwork you. But the thing is, his talent got so good that he didn't need to outwork people, because he while he could, he probably did, but he's the kind of guy that could be out partying till 2:30 in the morning and still drop 55 points in the Madison Square Garden, because his skill level got so automatic. It was second nature, and he lived the passion. His passion was winning.
Right.
So I think the more, not to sound corny or anything, but if you really like what you do it anyways.
Right. See that there's also, I'm a guitar player, so this also relates. There's a guy named Steve Vai. He's like one of the top legendary guitarists, and he said he's not really a gifted guitarist, but it's what he likes and wants to do, and he dedicates life. So it takes 12 hours to do something, he'll put the time in to do it and make sure he's doing it right. So it's unique how it's kind of like, it's what you said in the beginning. It's kind of a mindset thing. It's sort of like, you will have trials and tribulations. You are going to have to put a lot of work. You will have to do things you don't want to do, even if it's regarding something that you like to do. Certain subsidiaries of that you might not enjoy doing. So it's sort of like a combination of everything, but you still have to realize that you're going to have to go in like blazing.
Yeah, exactly. And like a good process and being self-aware of like making pivots or changes, that becomes really important. And a lot of people go get help and get coaches or whatever to see from a higher perspective, so they can kind of get to the goal quicker. Other people just do trial and error. So you just don't want your trial to be too costly and your error to be deadly. So you don't want to, if you're an entrepreneur, you don't want to like become a W-2 employee again. That's what we don't want. We want to, I mean, the crazy part about what we do is we're giving up a 9 to 5 to be a 24/7. And we call that freedom flexibility. Isn't that weird?
I know.
But but then yeah, I mean, you're betting on yourself at the end of the day. So I have a heavy heart for entrepreneurs of any kind. I don't care what you do. You're fucking crazy, and I love you, because you're putting you eat what you kill, and we want everybody to win easier, faster. But again, the hard work is up to you guys, because I already know this process works. It doesn't work for just me. It works for 18-year-olds. It works for people I thought that were completely going to fuck this whole thing up. Even one of my ex-employees, like I did an interview with him, and it was 5 years after we parted ways. And he's like, dude, I got to give all the credit in the world to you, because now he works with, like, he does podcast marketing. And he followed my exact strategy that he, in his words, not mine. He's like, I did what you did in the company and what you always taught me. I just found partners, and he works with like Spotify, Netflix, Cheesecake Factory, and none of those people really know who the fuck he is. It's through partnerships. The people who know Netflix, he partnered with, and now he has a podcast marketing niche where he can deliver the service. So he doesn't have to do the sales process. He just says, hey, you have another client named Spotify? Cool. Ship them over the fence. Send them to me. Invoices in the mail and the email, or credit cards on file. Build the same one. Yes. Run it for 25,000. Do it. Done. So that's what we want to get. The sales process, I just covered a little bit of it. And then the execute like crazy is the number one thing. Is we just gotta just execute. Now I want to just kind of summarize a little bit. I'm going to try to keep this really, really short. If there's any questions, ask away. When you're watching this, feel free to ping me, no problem. Like I'm just going to give it from my perspective of my context. So I want to, if you want to work with, when I first started, because I came from realtor.com, nobody knew who the fuck I was. I was just a sales rep amongst a pool of sales reps. We're in a boiler room environment, cubicles, phones all day, right? So I didn't know really, I kept to myself and left. Didn't really know many people while I worked there. Just knew a handful of people on my team. So I just said, okay, I know real estate. So I started off with my niche, just saying, okay, I know this real estate thing. I knew that I can call realtors. I knew that I can email them. I knew I could find them. And then I knew that if I charged them this price, it would be kind of worth it, even though I didn't know what I was charging at the first. Yeah. So all I did was go on websites where real estate agents spent money, like homes.com, realtor.com, Trulia.com. Wall Street Journal had a version of real estate sections, and all the little newspapers had real estate ads everywhere. All I do is my prospect time, find the ad, click it, screenshot it if I needed to for a brand recall to remember what they have, so I can show them that won't work if they continue the way they're going. Name, email, phone number. And best part is I knew I could reach them. So that was the other part of it, was I knew I can reach them. So that's when I knew I could have volume. Realtors are going to answer their phone, and they were going to say, if I asked a realtor, hey, when would you show somebody property? 24/7 is their answer for most part. The really successful ones have time blocks. The ones that aren't at that level yet, they'll answer the phone at 1 a.m. if there's money to be made. So I knew they'd be answering their phone. So reaching them was a key component. If you're going to be going after dental niche and you're working with a dental, if you're going directly to the dentist, then it's going to be harder because they only have like Thursdays between 2 and 4 or something, right? So it's a little bit different. So you have to know the patterns that they're available. So I started off by mistake finding this process. So I was cold calling all the realtors, doing the end product, closing them. Then I started, when I would finish the project, I'd have to send it to the salesperson and say, hey, my name's Rahul. I just did this design. I want to upgrade it for so-and-so. Can I send it to you, or where do I send it? So then I would have a conversation with the sales rep. I'm like, hey, do you sell a lot of this stuff to these realtors? Well, what if you just referred those people to me, and I'll take good care of them like I just took care of this person, and I'd walk them through my steps. And like, holy shit, you do a lot of stuff. Like typically graphic designers don't call me and send it to me. Normally they send it to the agent or the realtor, and they never send it over. So they bought the good thing and they never submitted it. I'm like, dude, I'm VIP concierge, baby. I want my shit to work. I want it to get in your hands on that website. Then guess what, to you, Mr. Salesperson, you now have a renewable product when the renewal is coming. And then that blew their mind. Like, dude, now I can renew this client. So I knew I found the problem in the salesperson. So I'm like, the partner model is now in motion. So I said, hey, is there any other sales reps that you really like that you want me to talk to, that you want to take care of too? Boom, another referral. Here's what I do. Omar told me to talk to you. We had a good chat. We were joking about the Lakers the other day. But anyways, here's the context of my call. He said, you're a top performer. Is that right? Ego just struck. They're like, yeah, I am. Omar's dope. I love Omar. Cool. And then I would say, okay, cool, refer me business. Then I would keep every time I fulfilled a project, I got a chance to talk to Omar. I got to talk to Johnny. So I would be like, hey, and we'd chit chat. Then I'd get more referrals. Then it went to the regional manager. Then it became, hey, how do I become on this list? When you sell this product, how do I get everyone to refer me at some point? Then they started all putting me on an email list saying, hey, now that you bought this product. So I conditioned them to think of me. So I was going from the bottom of the sales floor up the levels to management, regional, president, CEO level. So it's the model can be from when it's a bigger company, like a public company. I like to go bottom. I like to deal with the sales reps because we have a lot in common. I can shoot the shit, and then I'll work my way up strategically. If it's an agency, let's say I want to sell Facebook advertising to SEO marketers, I Google, I'll pick big market areas like San Francisco digital marketing agencies. Then I'll stumble upon, oh, there's award sites. People win awards in this. Oh, cool. Those are probably the good people, Clutch.co, and then all these other different sites. So now I have a hunting ground, like a Yelp of digital marketing agencies. I'll look at their, if they have reviews, amazing. If they're placed in a ranking, I'll reference the ranking and strike their ego because everybody likes accomplishments. And then I'll say, hey, do you ever have, I love SEO, man. Like, it's so cool when you Google something and the people that show up, I know the vibe. It's like, you don't click past the top three, right? Yeah. Well, do you ever have people that ever like want to be on Facebook and get some disruptive advertising going? Because we have some cool shit that actually supplements SEO. I don't know if you'd be interested in having another revenue source, because one thing I've noticed through lots of conversations like this is that a lot of end customers, they want to work with specialists, but they also have in their mind, they don't want to work with 4 or 5 different companies. So when somebody has a one-stop shop, they tend to cancel when they can go with somebody that has all of these sources in-house. Like, have you ever had that happen, or is that something that you're concerned about?
Yeah. Well, first of all, that has happened with me before.
Mm-hmm.
I've had people do that. Well, it's sort of both ways, actually. The times where I've seen they have canceled their one-off people and gone with someone that does majority of things are the ones where, like, we just sold them on something. The conversation comes up about, well, we also do X, Y, and Z. And they go, oh, how much is it? Oh, we're paying this guy, like, because a single person specialist will probably way more. And go, we'll just join you. Okay, great. The times where they go for specialists is when they're trying to figure out a massive problem, is
Mm-hmm.
what I found out.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if their sales are just dying, like there's something really horrible going on. Like, there was a vitamin company that was doing this. They were massive. And they were really going in the tank
Yeah.
bad. They thought they were going for single people. So they thought the solution was spend $1 million on a brand new website, which you probably guess. The only thing it accomplished was writing a check for $1 million. That was
Mm-hmm.
basically it. But I had that thing too. And if they like you and stuff, they will go with you and they'll just transfer everything over.
Yeah, and using this process, like I'm a timely person in the sense that, like, if I'm targeting marketing agencies and they know I'm a marketing agency, I don't want to bite the hand that feeds the mouth. So I'll first make sure that, like, whatever I do, like when I go with graphic design or video editing or whatever, or even blog writing, a lot of people like outsource that shit. But we know keyword research, so I can kind of vibe with their problems.
Yeah.
And if they're outsourcing it to some dude that's writing 500-word articles and stuffing shit in, I kind of like bring up stories about how that doesn't really work, because you're not writing for search engines, you're writing for people, appeasing to Google, appeasing to whatever search engines you want to rank on. So I'll feel the vibe and they'll find that they're like, hey, maybe I am underspending, maybe I am doing it wrong. No wonder why my turnover is high. No wonder why the rankings take a year versus 3 months, etc. So you can find that angle. But I stay in that angle. I stay in that spot. Like, I'll stay the graphic designer until I have a good conversation with the person. And typically it's like, when I deliver the thing that I'm delivering, I'll make sure they like it. That's my number one thing. Like, there's a show called Bar Rescue with John Taffer,
Yes.
and when he puts the white napkin on your lap, that means brand new customer. You better make those motherfuckers the best time they had at your restaurant, and then say, hey, you know what? Have you ever tried the chocolate cake? No, I haven't. It's to die for. Next time you're here, ask for me. I'm bringing it to your table. So all he did was say, come back and you get it. And now you feel good that the owner just helped out. So I want to make sure they loved the thing that I did. That's my cue to start the relationship, to get the longer term saying, can you give me more of these? Let's rock these out.
That's the challenge, actually, that I find common as well. So people are not putting in enough effort up front like that. They're just kind of treating everyone the same because they just want the check. There's that, and then they're also offering too much. So
Yeah, that's how
they're
burnout
not
happens.
they're
Yeah.
either not going in with a specific irresistible offer that's just like, how'd you say no to this? I know your problems. This fits to your solution. Or they're not diagnosing the situation. So they're going in and they're just saying, tell me this, tell me that. Next question, next question. It's like a really horrible interview. And then at the end they go, you need Facebook ads. It's $4,000. By the way, my name's Daniel.
Mhm.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Costco. I don't know why, I just love it, but
Dude,
I
me
love the
too.
model. It's just it's so safe to shop with Costco. It's so cool to get like, I mean, I time my shopping trips around when the samples are going to be out, and then I end up buying a lot of the samples. So like that kind of like also changed my mindset. Is like, well, back before Costco, it was called Price Club. When I was a kid, we only went to Costco for the hot dogs, or Price Club for the hot dogs. We liked the hot dogs so much. And then we're like, oh, we can shop here too. So we joined the Price Club. Then it turned to Costco. So it's like, eat a hot dog, enjoy your trip. And it's like, they've never raised the prices in like 2 decades of some crazy thing, and they lose money on it, but then they get people in the door. So if I said, if I can have that same hot dog now, then people will shop with me. So I'm going to give my whole like strategy away that I think that I did. I'll give you the exact product, the exact process. The product was banner ads. I found people that spent money on banner ads. I clicked their ads. Then I found out, where did they buy? Who's the media buyer that placed this ad? Then those were the marketing agencies. Then I said, fuck searching the internet and randomly clicking it, calling the customer, saying who's the agency, and doing the hard route. I just went to the Google and just searched for digital marketing agencies. And I picked big markets like Austin, Texas, Manhattan, New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego. I would just pick where money is already. And then I would assume that since they're in these big expensive cities for that particular state, they probably are somewhat successful. So I made that assessment. I would call them, and then I would say, here's what I do. I want to offer this totally free of charge for you. So we don't even have to talk money on this. I just want to make sure that what I do can help you and be more efficient within the company. Is that fair? And then I would just start the conversation. And my goal was, I don't want to pitch you money, because that means I have to be interviewed. That means, oh, let me think about it. Let's talk to Johnny and Joey. You don't need to talk to Johnny or Joey. Now I can just make you the decision maker, because there's no money to be exchanged.
This
All
is
I'm trying to
this
do
is
is make what you have better.
this is exactly like Costco. I
Yeah.
freaking love it
Yeah.
because first of all, that's the free sample.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, the hot dog and the chickens. Did you hear about do you know about the rotisserie chickens?
Oh, the $4.99 chickens. I know about those guys.
Yeah, like why do you think they're $4.99? You think they make money off that? They don't make money off that. They
Nope.
just then they put it in the back of the store because they know if you walk through, you're gonna be like,
Oh yeah.
"Hey, did you see this new barbecue?"
Yeah. I mean, just
They're-
think about how crazy that is with Costco, and think about how you can apply this to your own business too. Is like that rotisserie chicken thing. I've gone specifically to Costco for the fucking chicken. And
yes,
guess what? $300 chicken, because I bought like $295 dollars worth of other stuff. So it
yeah.
is brilliant. It is strategically
And even
placed
if you
right
buy the
there.
one chicken per year, it's still $150.
Yeah. The $5 chicken's 150
Yeah,
by
because
the time you're done.
it's the chicken and it's the membership.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. The membership as well.
Yeah, even if you buy one chicken per year, it still costs you $150.
Exactly. But now here's how you don't become a free giver of good stuff, because the
Let's
thing
do
is,
follow-up.
you want to be able to give away like, unlike Costco in this scenario, they'll just give away as many samples as they want, right? You can go back 20 times if you're feeling lucky, right? But when it comes to us, like say now, like dude, I love, like let's say they love the banner idea. Like, oh dude, you do that for me? Yeah, absolutely. The first one is going to be free. But first, let me just ask you, let's just say you love what we do. Is there any future that we can actually work with you on other projects that you may have that come across the board? Yes. Okay, cool. Like on average, like how many of the thing that you're selling, in my case, how many banners are you doing every single month, or how many media companies are you working with that would require this? Oh, well, we have about 10 customers. Cool. Like how many are you doing per week or month? And they'll tell me like, oh, we have 10 clients. They need 5 sizes each per campaign. They run on average 2 campaigns. Just for math, let's say there's 50 units. Like, cool. Like how are you currently producing them? And I want to know the lay of the land in case I have competition, or I'm only going to get a sliver of it or at all. And then I need to know, like, well, we have an in-house designer. Like, oh, cool. Does the in-house designer, are they like a print designer, or are they a Photoshop specialist, or what do they do really well? Oh, they only can do still graphics. Oh, okay. So then you'd be using us for the motion graphics. Is that right? And they'll say, yes, we are. So now I know they don't have the talent. Now they have to outsource it, because I don't want to step on that graphic designer's foot. I want to make him, when I close the deal, I want him to be my best friend so he doesn't feel threatened. And I can touch on that if we have time. But
Yeah.
then I'll just go into like, is the motion graphics, have you noticed that like a lot of the competitors may be doing it, or do you already know that it gets a higher click-through rate? So now I'm actually saying, hey, if you don't do the motion ones, Your competitors are already doing it, and it has like higher click-through rate with my language. So then they're gonna agree. I'm like, cool. So like I'll get you the delivery, I'll put it in our queue. You're gonna go through the intake process that we have. We'll get the specs, all that good stuff. We'll get you the delivery in 3 to 5 business days. Deal? Yes. Cool. When we come back, I want to just personally call you. I'll walk you through the design. And then we'll just talk about the next steps on how we can work together. Is that fair? Yes. So if somebody said, yes, I can do the banner, no, I have no future with you, or what you feel in your mind is not profitable for you long run. So let's say it's like a freelancer that positions themselves as this fancy agency and like, dude, well, we get like 1 or 2 every month. That's already a hard no for me because they may not even have the 1 or 2. And it's not worth my time and energy to give you free shit because all they're going to do is string me along. And then we're going to have these longer conversations for no reason because they have all the time in the world and I'm trying to make sales or build business. And I might fall prey to that conversation to be polite. So I just know, hey, you know what? This is really positioned for people that have a future for us. I'd love to do everything for free for everybody, but we can't. We're trying to run a profitable business. I'm sure you can understand, right? Boom.
Right.
If they can't understand, so what? Like we gotta move on.
And that will happen because they will be the most needy because they have all the
Yeah.
free time in the world.
Yeah. And I mean, we've had people that we've delivered, like we've got them to want the free banner and they weren't qualified. And then unfortunately, we had to go back to them after we said we'd give them the free thing and tell them no, because we have to be that like we have to be focused on our avatar. If there's no future, then there's no future. Let's not even do anything right now. Right. So that's really kind of the key aspect to this, so that I learned through just doing the free thing for too many people without like getting any kind of future business. But then I just started leaning on myself. I'm like, dude, you're the fucking idiot that did it. They didn't, you gave it to them, you called them, and then they said yes, and then you did it, and then they didn't buy stuff in the future from you. It's because you didn't have a problem for them to solve. They just needed the one. That was it.
You know,
Nothing wrong. Yeah.
what's crazy about this is I have enough experience to look at this and go, okay, the benefits, the strategy, amazing. I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but the second part of this is I understand why I never done this before because I was told not to.
Yeah.
From people that I have been coached with, or not, great coaches, sure, but I've been told this, which is never give anything away for free, always get money up front, always make it happen, make a deal. It's like hard selling training 101, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And move kind of branching out from that is, as a beginner, you can do this, but you have to understand that you gotta get your thick skin set early, because you have to go, what's more important, making a sale up front so I'm not broke, or saying no, it's not going to work because I know I'm going to be losing money giving free stuff to someone who doesn't have enough business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're sort of playing with fire. But if you start this video, which hopefully you watch the whole thing, is they're having the right mindset, then this is something anyone can implement and really see results on.
100%. I totally, and I'll give you an example because I know we're going a little overtime on this one, but like you don't have to do the thing for free either. You could charge money because it costs you a lot of money. The reason I chose what I chose is I knew my cost was so low. I knew that if the person still was a good candidate and still didn't move with us, I knew that I was going to talk to like 30 or 40 different people that week or that day or whatever it may be. So I was using my energy and effort that I had. That was my marketing cost. Like some people are running Facebook ads and getting $100 book calls. Some are getting $5 book calls. This was my marketing cost, $20. And that's how I implanted it. And I put myself in an investor mindset in my own business. If I won't invest in my own business and I'm bootstrapping it, nobody else should invest in it because I don't believe in my own self. So I wholeheartedly believe, put the work in, put the money in, bleed this shit, give yourself a fighting chance. Don't be fucking cheap on this shit because then you'll be broke longer. And that was my mentality, is like, if the world falls down and everything is fucked, then I can figure out a way to get a loan. I can figure out a way to be embarrassed to go to put my ego in my pocket for a moment and go, hey mom, hey dad, I fucking failed, but I know it's worth it. Will you support me? No. Hey uncle, I know this, I failed so far, but that just means I'm closer. Will you give me money to grow? So I mean, I knew I had that in my back door, but that was my motivation. The fear of having to be a little bitch and tuck my tail in between my legs and go to mom and dad and go to my friends, because I recklessly quit a job that I was doing really well at. And out of nowhere, just like decision, woke up one day, I don't work here no more. That was how quick that decision got made. I gave up 100% of income for zero money to work 24 hours a day. And it was a dumb move, but it worked out because I put the work in.
Dude,
Yeah.
when I did that, it was the same thing. It was like, I can't, it was like, it doesn't matter if I had a gun pointed at my head. I could not, for the life of me, I could not do another day of my job, because
Yeah.
it's not like working a 9 to 5 is second best thing necessarily. I mean, it works for people and it doesn't work for others. It's just a method. But
Mm-hmm.
but dude, when you're hooked on it, you just make that decision. It's impossible to go, well, I'll just work this job for another 3 months. It's impossible. You
You're
can't do it.
possessed. Yeah, you have this. You're just super possessed, and you're like in a trance of your own success. So it's just crazy how that works. And the crazy part is, I actually liked the job. I actually liked the people that I became close friends with. I still keep in touch with my manager after all these
That's
years.
cool.
So I really loved the job. I just quit. It was like literally just go. Like I wasn't getting the raise I wanted at the time, and like I didn't care about the money. I cared about being strung along that I was actually going to get that position when they really had no intent to give it to me. But if they just flat out said, no, you got to work way harder, brother, and it's on you, not me, I would have stayed. I'd probably not even be on this thing. I'd probably be
I was
working
gonna
on,
ask that as follow
yeah,
up. Like,
yeah.
if you had the opportunity to give you, do you think you'd still be there?
If they gave it to me, I would still be there. I mean, I don't know if I'd be there today, but I would have not started a company because it would never cross my mind to start a company.
Dude, how crazy is that?
Yeah, yeah, they lost. In my mind, they lost a fucking gem. But then also the greatest part is the company I quit became my client, and instead of giving me like a $10,000, $20,000 annual raise, not monthly raise, fucking annual raise, I would have been a sheep just spilling blood for their colors for as long as they kept paying me and I kept doing well. Instead, they became a multi-million-dollar account. So I kind of joke around. I had to quit to get my raise. Because they became the client. So let's get into some homework really quick.
Okay,
I want you guys to write down some where can you find clients? I've given some examples here. You can go on agency award websites. You can go on blogs. You can find softwares. You can go on review sites. There's all these different places where you can find your niche. I have a blog on our website where it talks about 60 ways you can get clients or 60 places you can find clients. And this is when I was at Business Mastery, a $10,000 1 week thing with Tony Robbins, with multimillionaires in the audience. And we just crowdsource. Tony's like, hey, where can you get clients? And everybody's yelling different places. And I have a blog on that. So if you guys want it, we can drop it in the show notes. Let's write down the product we want to offer. If you're going to write down multiple products, use multiple pieces of paper, because we want to create them as different business units. Because if you're going to use this model, we want to have a precise angle in. It doesn't mean you're going to go away from what you want to do with all the full service stuff. We'll have to upsell that stuff later after you've got the result of the thing you're selling. And then you got the relationship with the person you're selling it to. Then you're going to start to introduce your other offers. This could be email content. This could be ad copy. This could be graphic designs. It could be logos, any kind of design. It doesn't have to be banners like we do. It could be YouTube advertising. Could be shopping cart abandonment expert, whatever, a CRO auditor, like conversion rate auditor, and optimization. You can even be a project manager. There's so many people that sells websites that they hate doing the project management. You can solve that pain. Because when I sold websites, I hated doing fucking project management, but I was good at it. But I hated being good at it. And then I would do it. And then when I give it to other people, they weren't as good. So I stole it back, like Allen Iverson, give me the rock. But then I found somebody that I can contract project management to. And I'm like, holy shit, I can sell a $20,000 website and you're going to project management from start to finish for $500. Fuck yeah. You are it. And in fact, if you do a good job, I didn't tell them this in the beginning because they gave me the price. I accepted it. I was going to already give them a raise so they don't take other projects because I don't like it that much. And then I can factor in $1,000. I'm like, do you realize that you saved me probably 12 fucking phone calls? Like that's 12 hours for $500. I'm like, amazing. I love it. So they've solved my problem. Let's outline the workflow. So the workflow is going to be our day. Like our workflow will be, let's build our list. Let's visualize what tomorrow is going to look like, and let's give ourselves a minimum viable time block. I don't want somebody just like when you're out of shape and you're getting it in shape, you're like, oh, I'll get this done in 2 weeks. It's going to take you 2 months, 2 quarters, two whatevers, right? It's going to be longer. So don't overwhelm yourself by thinking you're a hero and can do it all in a day. Just give yourself a little bit of space. Saying, I'm gonna for 2 hours, I'm gonna focus on this thing.
Okay.
And then what are we going to do? We have our list ready. We have our product ready. We have our pricing ready. We have our offer ready. We have our target audience ready. We have our cold emails ready. We have our cold DMs ready, our friends ready. Our whole workflow is outlined in a checklist format. Kind of like when you go to a McDonald's or a Taco Bell bathroom, like fast food places, they have a checklist that they've covered everything. Let's just do the same thing and take 5 minutes to write a minimum viable checklist, and then we'll have our workflow. It's simple. We just can wake up and be a sheep with groggy eyes, get our wake up and like, oh, I just have to follow this list. That's it. Sweet. Then we do the thing. And part of it is my next step was like minimum viable assets. I kind of just went over it really fast. Like I want to have my offer, my price, my cold email, and think of the scenarios that you're going to need. Like somebody says, hey, bad timing, but I want to listen to you. Let's follow up next week. Have that email ready. Have that cadence ready. Have maybe even a video ready. Like saying, hey, like in the video, we want generic. Don't make custom videos for every single person just for your process. Because like when I do my banner video, like dude, I've done banners for like appliances I use every day because I partnered with the agency that has the ability to get those big customers. I just know the CEO of that agency had either grown up with that person, so that means 10 years, 20 years growing up, they earned the relationship, or they spent money going to conferences to meet those people. I know they did the hard work. I did the easy part because I just found, I like Too Short would say, the rapper, get in where you fit in. I just got in where I fit in. I got in on the graphic design train, and I fit in like, oh, dude, you're like, it was amazing. Like I've done ads for Google themselves, but I don't. Google's not my client. The agency that got me Google is the client. But that's the most amazing shit. I didn't have to do all the hard fucking work for acquiring a big client. I'm not getting paid like they are probably, but I'm also not dealing with the headaches, the conference calls, the meetings. All I have to do is be good at solving that one agency's problem, and then they deliver me the product. And then I teach them how to upsell their own clients too, because I have a method of doing that as well. That would be a whole longer process. So
We
the
can tap
minimum
on that
viable
later.
assets, we're going to have our email outreaches, our DM outreaches, our follow-up templates, maybe a video kind of explaining the process and how you solve their problem and how you have a viable process that can get them a better thing faster, because people will pay for better and speed. And then make the fucking offer sexy. And I will tell you this, it'll work sometimes, it won't work other times, and sometimes it may not work at all in the beginning. Just fight through the process. Then go back to what I said in the beginning of this. Pitch it to somebody older, like a parent, a grandparent. Pitch it to somebody younger. And I typically like to pitch to people that have no clue what I do, because if I can get them to understand it, where like if I pitch it to an old dentist and they understand it, then I'm golden. Then I'll start going to other like people who already said no to me. And I said, hey, look, I know you didn't want what I have to offer, and I feel I have to take the responsibility. I did a really shitty job. Can I have another chance to pitch you? And I'll literally say, pitch you. And then they'll say, like, what do you got, kid? What do you got? And then I'll say, here, this is where I felt I missed the ball. Here's what I wanted to say. And then I can use them as my practice grounds as well. And I can either use it as practice, or I just made them open-minded to use me.
You probably had people actually become clients from doing that too.
Oh, all the time. Yeah. And this is a line I learned, or I think I made it up, or I stole it. I don't know. I feel
Just
like I
take
get the
credit.
credit.
It's cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the credit, but there could be some citation I'm not giving. I'm not sure, but in my mind, I made it up. But when I was pitching somebody live at Realtor.com, and I was asking a complete stranger, just built on the brand name of Realtor.com, I'm asking strangers that don't know who the fuck I am for $50,000. And then they were like, dude, I'm not even interested. My pitch was this: look, I know that you may not be interested right now, and I take the responsibility. If you knew what I knew in my head, it's only because I actually work here. You would understand how powerful this works, and you would be buying this and jumping through the computer and saying, how do I actually get more of it? But since you don't know that, I explain this extremely poorly. Do you mind if I get a second swing of the bat and I can represent this to you in a couple days from now? Because this is all my fault, and I want to give you a fair chance to have this. And they would either laugh and be like, dude, I never heard anybody in their right mind saying, hey, I fucked up the pitch. You need to buy this thing. If I worked in your seat, you'd be buying it and I should be paying more. Can I pitch you again? That didn't work all the time, but I would say it worked about 20% of the time. But I never gave up. I just knew that I took responsibility because it was my job. Now, if you didn't have the money and you couldn't get it, I totally understand that. But it was because of me doing a bad job presenting to you, I couldn't live with that. That's not me because I have to be clear. I have to be good at what I do. I have to
That's
be
so good.
certain. Yeah. So I call that the re-offer, or in my language, the second swing of the bat.
I think you own that. Unless someone just comments and be like, that's mine, then maybe you can split ownership, whatever. That is so good though. See, this is a common thing as well. I think we both know that for sure. It's like you pitch once, they're not interested, and you just forget about them.
Oh yeah, and that's where your money is out the door. You just went for new blood, not realizing your fucking database is where your money's at.
You know what I'm gonna do with this? I'll have you finish. I'll have you finish this off. So I'll let you have the last word. And also let everyone know where they can find you, where you want them to go, and stuff like that. But I forgot what I was gonna say.
Well, let me ask you a question then. Do you think this is valuable for whoever is going to see it?
100%. That's actually what I was going to mention. 100%. I actually was thinking of, we have an internal group called Dash Elite. It's people who are in our coaching program to help them hit their first 10,000. I might drop this to them.
Dude,
like
yeah.
as soon
I
as
think it'd be
we're done.
valuable. I think it would be valuable, and I think people just need to know the value of execution over the value of being good at the thing you service. Because one thing about me is, like, to this day, I've never downloaded Photoshop, nor have I seen what it looks like. Even though I hired graphic designers, I'd walk by their desk when I had my physical office with everybody in it, and I would just look, and I knew it was Photoshop. I just didn't give two fucking shits about it. It's because my job was to be good at presenting and getting clients, and then I'd find the person to do the thing. And then my standards were pretty high. I like having good things when it's digital or when I'm selling something. So if I didn't like something, I would, before a client would get it, I would make sure it, like, the fonts are right, the spacing was right. If we had phone numbers, was it dots, dashes, parentheses, like every little nuance we covered, and we made a checklist out of it. Because then if I liked it, I felt like it wasn't an ego thing. I felt like a lot of other people would like it. So we had a font portfolio, a color palette portfolio, a gradient portfolio. So we started creating these reusable assets. So it was always consistent. And I can tell who, when I just randomly see banner ads, I knew they were ours, even if I didn't know the client.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
But 100%. I don't think I'm going to schedule this out for everyone else. I think I will, but for our internal group and stuff, they need to hear this. I think this would change the way they're prospecting.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah. No, I think it could too. I mean, it, like I said, it could is the operating word because it already works. It's just putting it to work. It's the energy, the effort, the goal, because like my brain thinks so differently. Like the example to go out of whole digital marketing world, I'm going to go in physical product space. A couple of buddies of mine, we bought a water faucet company. And I've never noticed what kind of water faucet I've used and whatnot. The only time I ever noticed one, if it's like an expensive hotel and you're like, holy shit, this is different. It's gold and moves and just turns on, whatever, washes your ass. But the thing is, we bought this water faucet company. I don't even know all the products we even have. There's probably like 12, 15. I don't know. I don't give a shit. I just know, like, I'd ask them, like, is it good? Is it unique? Is it smart? Is it do something better? Does it pull out further or whatever? I don't care. Tell me what it is. I'm like, cool. The first way they're thinking is, well, let's run some Facebook ads. I'm like, so you want actual homeowners or renters to buy this shit? I'm like, okay, cool. $30, $50, $90 thing for whatever that costs. We're going to sell a lot of those that way. My first call was the builder surplus. Called the assistant. I'm like, hey, I'm Rahul. You don't know me yet. I need to get a hold of vendor management because I have a product they need to see. And I went in with a very straight, confident voice. Who would I speak to? Almost like how you hear Christopher Vox in his radio DJ voice. Kind of went straight monotone, straight to the gut, because then they're like, oh, dude, maybe he knows Hector. And I'm like, cool, Hector. I'm like, Hector's last name? Cool. Best phone number to reach him so I don't have to go through you next time? Cool. Email? Awesome. So you know Hector well? Yes, I've been working with him for 10 years. Okay, so what do you think his favorite sports team is living in Southern California? And then she's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, I want to be a new vendor of yours. What would I do to attract Hector's attention? And she said, I don't know. But I went through those questions to see if I can gather information because I'm using the gatekeeper to my advantage. And then I go and strategize, and then I call Hector. And I did end up calling him, and I said, what do I need to do to get in front of, grab your attention? Because you're going to get 100 guys like me calling you, and I want to be unique. So I'm telling him to teach me how to stand out so I can sell him my thing. And then he's just like, send an email here. And I'm like, I don't want to be rude and come off obnoxious, but if I send that email, am I going to get a response? He's like, I don't know. And I'm like, what would you do if you were me? And then he told me, he's like, come by or send me the product. So I haven't gone by or sent the product because this literally just recently happened.
That's so cool.
But my point is, I'm going to the guy who can sell this to 1 million homeowners in America.
See that.
And my margins are going to be paper thin, but I don't give a fuck because I just want to get units sold. And I've the back of my brain is thinking the vendors overseas that make these things that are going to ship them to me are going to fucking love me. And I'm going to drive the price down. My retail, when we sell retail, the margins just went up because our volume went up. But then I have fucking customers. I have something that I can now put my attention to and saying, hey, this is amazing. Then all I have to do is realize, like, how do I sell more to Hector? How do I increase the margins? And saying, hey, Hector, man, I'm making like $5 a unit. My boss needs to be making $8 a unit. How do we make that happen, brother? Like, you and I have a good relationship. That's where my future is already thinking, is like, get the thing in the streets, make some margins, don't lose money. And then I'm going to say, hey, Hector, I have to have an open conversation with you, man. It's not going to be happy unless you take it that way. But I have I'm stuck in the middle of something hard. I need your help. And I'll say, hey, we're making $5 a unit. That's really bad. Our auditors want us to be worth a little bit more. I need to get to 8. They wanted 12. I negotiated them to 8. How do you help me get there? And he may say, do it. Fucking charge us $3 more a unit. That could be the answer. I don't know. Possibly. But my point is, that's another way you can use the same thing. I'm thinking, who already has the customers I want, go to them, and then you can also still go after the end customer anyways. So you have 2 channels of marketing in your business: the partnership channel, the direct client channel.
That is brilliant. I am mind blown.
Awesome.
Partnership channel, dude. I am stoked to share this.
I hope somebody watches 2 hours of content. I'm always concerned that
better.
Yeah, I'm always concerned. Do it like, my intention is like, how can we power pack this in 30 minutes? But then on the other end, I'm like, they won't be able to deliver the full, like, the storyline of how to use this all in a 2-hour one. I just don't want people to see 2 hours and then not watch it. So if you've got this far, I want you to comment. I want you to say something that you got this far, because I feel like this is fucking important. And I mean, this I had to learn like through trial, error, and losing money. And then I'm just putting it into 2 hours so you can avoid like 2 or 3 years of trial and error.
It's not that big of a commitment. Like, you probably listen to a Joe Rogan podcast for 3.5 hours. Like, you can do this for 2. But now what's interesting is that we'll probably end it here. It's 2 hours. You're willing to spend 8 hours or 12 sitting at your desk, like spinning your thumbs. Might as well just pop this on. But it's perfect because it led up to this point where things just start clicking. And your motivation, my motivation has gone here. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm thinking about this. I could do that. This is another way of doing this. I want to like take action now. If I had an agency, I would take action.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it can be used outside the agency world. I just know the agency world pretty well. And I mean, fuck, man, there's a lot of stuff in the agency world that can be done more efficiently and better for a lot of the businesses we consult for. But anyways, yeah, since we're ending it here, if you guys do need to reach me for any reason, the best way is going to be in my group. This redirects to a Facebook group. The domain's joingsd.com/group. And if you want to DM me, just give me some sort of context, like you saw this video and where you saw it. Happy to help. To do a direct DM without having to find me on Facebook, you could. It's the letter M is in M&M's, I guess, m.me/Rahul Alim 805. So that just literally, you click it, it'll open up Facebook Messenger, and it'll go right to DMing me.
So cool. Send me those links. I'll put them in the description so you guys
Cool.
can just go in the description and check it out too. Dude, Rahul, thank you so much. I know your time's valuable. I know you just dropped a ton of valuable information. I know everyone that's listening to this is going to be like, what did I just do? So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
You got it.